happened?
Pixar released a trailer for The Incredibles 2! And the release of this trailer has just led to a whole bandwagon of people making the whole too late, 15 years too late joke. But newsflash, the first Incredibles came out 14 years ago, and what were you expecting them to release a sequel within the same year? I personally say 10 years too late at most, but then I guess that doesn't really fit with Syndrome's quote. And the point is that the trailer was so good, great, amazing, dare I say, incredible. Yeah, that's the direction this video is going. Well, at least in my opinion, it was great. Lots of people were disappointed that it was shorter than they thought it was going to be, and they were annoyed that no plot details were given away, but I don't know what you were expecting. This was literally just a teaser to, you know, get people hyped for the film, and it worked. If you can't tell, I'm quite excited. And to be honest, this trailer gave away a lot more information than I thought it would, and I think it's actually confirmed a rather popular fan theory about Jack Jack. A theory that I've spoken about on this channel before. So, without further ado, let's get into this. Hello there, how are you doing? I said without further ado, but technically speaking that intro was a do, so... Okay, analysis time. It leads in for a scene that definitely won't feature in the film, which is basically just Jack Jack creating the logo for the sequel. Which is something Pixar have never done before, like... Never, ever done that before, have they? But it's great, I like it. That was exactly what I was expecting them to do. It all revolves around Jack Jack, who we know is going to kind of be like a sub-character of the film, and it is ridiculously similar to the short Jack Jack Attack, in the sense that it shows off his powers, and realistically when it comes to his powers, there really isn't that much new. At the very start, he crawls through a solid wall, which is an ability we know he can use since he uses it in the short. He also makes use of his laser eyes, which again is something he does in the short. However, in the trailer, you'll notice there's a key difference. The laser beams aren't purple anymore, but are in fact green. Which may not mean anything, but why on earth are they green? This can't have just been a creative decision, this has to mean something! The solution I've been presented on the internet is that the purple lasers wouldn't have had as much effect in terms of contrasting colours on the red background as green lasers do. Because, you know, red and green are opposite colours on the colour wheel, but that's not how we do it over here! Well, that probably is the reason why, but I want to keep you on the topic of laser eyes, because there are a few other things I've noticed that I want to discuss. In this trailer, Jack Jack's laser eyes aren't just a different colour, but are visibly thicker than they were in the short. Since in the short they were described as needle thin, but of course in the trailer they're not. Which may imply that his laser abilities have become more powerful since the short. Well, I'm guessing that thicker lasers equals more powerful lasers, right? And interestingly, I can actually prove that this is the case. Because when it comes to laser eyes, we actually have an example of another super with this ability, being of course Gazer Beam. You know the guy Mr. Incredible discovers the dead body of and then realizes he's engraved a message onto the wall with his laser eyes? Yeah. Him. And interestingly, Kronos, the message Gazer Beam engraved onto the wall, was written with quite clearly thick lasers. Or should I say, gazers? Okay, no, sorry, I'll stop. The point is that these lasers clearly aren't needle thin, because they've written quite a thick message on the wall. And then, adding on to the fact that these lasers might be more powerful, another thing I noticed was that when Jack Jack splits the Incredibles sign in two, because it's the Incredibles 2. He clearly uses the laser eyes very intentionally and knows what he's doing, and this is made very clear by his facial expressions before he does it. And I know it's probably very easy to think, well yeah, but this scene isn't going to be in the film, it's meaningless, but actually, we know that Jack Jack is getting older, because he's walking, he has a couple teeth, his hair seems a little longer, the list goes on. Well actually, the list doesn't go on, that was all the information provided to prove he's a few months older. But the point is, he is a little older, which means he'll start to be getting used to having powers, and will start to learn how to use them. In a similar way to how Violet and Dash have learned how to use their powers in The Incredibles. Which means, if anything, this is a huge hint that he might start to become more in control of his powers during this film. And with this, his powers will start to become more powerful. But anyway, back to the terrible analysis of this trailer. Because straight after this, they throw in the title being The Incredibles 2, and I actually thought this was going to be the end of the trailer, because if history's told us anything, Pixar very rarely include more than one scene in their teasers. But no, today was different, because they added a scene onto the end.
You have powers! Yeah, baby!
And this scene might just possibly confirm one of the best Incredibles theories ever. A theory written by Spasmit Hands on Reddit that I've actually spoken about in a video before and kind of added to it. A lot of you probably already know it, and there'll be a link to the theory in the description, but let me briefly fill you in with the Seamus modified version now. Elastigirl and Mr. Incredible, unlike Violet, Dash and Jack Jack, weren't born as superheroes. Instead, they were turned into supers by the government to help them fight crime. And this can be proven by the fact that they they have skills that everyday people just wouldn't have. Like Mr. Incredible's ridiculous problem-solving skills to work out the word gazer beam engraved onto the wall was Syndrome's computer password. Like, are you telling me he worked that on his own? I'm guaranteeing he was a government secret agent. Or the fact that Elastigirl is basically able to fly any plane. Like, that is just not an everyday skill. So the government decided to give their best agents, if you will, which included Bob and Helen, this sort of superhero serum, which gave them superpowers that reflected their personalities. Bob believes that he can do everything himself, so he was given superhuman strength. And Helen, who believed that everything could be solved with just the right amount of flexibility, was made really flexible. Evidence that helps prove this theory is that we never meet a supervillain in The Incredibles. Both Bon Voyage and Syndrome are shown off to be incredibly normal, which would imply that all the supers were good and wanted to help fight crime, and like, what are the chances of that? Also, the government seemed to have tabs on all the supers through the NSA and was able to shut them down. And finally, it's said by Syndrome in the alternate opening of The Incredibles that it's illegal for supers to have kids.
And you are breaking the law, Mr. Incredible. You know supers aren't supposed to breed.
Which isn't considered canon Incredibles material, but still supplies evidence for this, because how on earth would the government monitor whether supers have kids or not? Which means that when Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl eventually illegally have kids, their superpowers would also reflect their personalities. Violet, being shy and defensive, has invisibility and force fields, and I actually made a full video about why she has two like a year ago, and I'm still quite proud of it, so yeah, you should watch that. And then Dash, who's impatient and impulsive, has super speed. Therefore, instead of assuming that Jack can have any power he wants, the theory suggests that his powers are just developing as they've only recently manifested, and that over time his powers will focus and become one cohesive set of powers like the rest of his family. And as I said, this scene from the trailer as good as confirms this theory to be true. Because when Bob first sees Jack use his powers in the trailer, he doesn't marvel over the fact that he used multiple different powers. He just simply exclaims, "You have powers." And I know powers is a plural word, but like, you wouldn't go, Dash has power because he's super fast. You say Dash has powers because he's super fast. It just, that's how the word works. The point is, he isn't reacting to the fact that he's showing off multiple powers, and this is because he's seen Violet and Dash do the exact same thing. Which means that despite the fact Jack seemingly has limitless powers shown until now, in The Incredibles 2, we might get to see his powers start to latch onto one specific power as he learns to control them. The only question is, what could that power be? And at the moment, we have no idea, because we know absolutely nothing about his personality as of yet. He's literally 1 year old. My personal prediction is shape-shifting, with his trademark being turning into a fire monster. Because as we get deeper into the trailer, we see Jack use this specific power again. Kind of. He turns into fire, at least. I'm rolling with it. Meaning it's the only power used in the short Jack Attack, The Incredibles itself, and now The Incredibles 2 trailer. So yeah, if I was to have a guess, I would predict that Jack's power is going to be a shapeshift. Which reminds me, I'm supposed to be analysing this trailer. So yes, after he shows off this fire monster power, he shows off a new power that we haven't seen before, that was kind of like an electricity type power, which I personally find really weird. They're showing off more powers as if he didn't have enough already. But I don't think there's much to say on this power other than just to add it onto the unnecessary long list of powers that Jack has. And then of course the last thing he does in the trailer is use his laser eyes again and blast off some of his dad's head. But other than the fact that Mr. Incredible has half his head shaved off, that is basically it when it comes to the trailer. However, Pixar has also provided us with a brief synopsis of the film in the description of the YouTube video, which reads, "Everyone's favourite family of superheroes is back in Incredibles 2. But this time it's Helen in the spotlight, leaving Bob at home with Violet and Dash to navigate the day-to-day heroics of normal life. It's a tough transition for everyone, made tougher by the fact that the family is still unaware of baby Jack's emerging superpowers." So if you haven't been paying attention to this video, we've basically been providing you with truckloads of evidence that there are major clues that Jack is going to start to learn to control his powers in this film, and maybe start to settle on a power that suits his personality. This basically confirms that this is going to be a minor plot point in the film. Obviously, this trailer doesn't provide us with any information about the main plot of the film, since Elastigirl and the main villain don't even feature in it, but this trailer does give me a lot of confidence that one of the main subplots in this film will be about Jack learning to control his developing power set. And that is the end of one very long trailer analysis video. Like, wow, to think, this was my analysis of a 50-second trailer with no major plot points. Can you imagine what I'm going to do when they release a 2-minute trailer next year? You've got to be subscribed for that. Sorry, I'm terrible at plugging my channel, but if you did enjoy this video, you can subscribe by clicking here. You can also watch another video by clicking here. Make sure to leave a like if you haven't already. Go follow my other social medias, specifically YouNow, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Links in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.